Here we are at our final section in Chapter 1, the Introduction to Functions. Now we're going to be dealing with functions quite a bit this year, but let's just see what you already know and let's put that to practice. Our goal today is to identify what a function is and to be able to create input and output tables for functions. So what is a function? It's a rule that establishes a relationship between two quantities, and these quantities are called our input and our output. One way that we can describe a function is to make an input-output table. Now in every function, every input has exactly one output. We're going to look at these words input-output, and it's going to be listed on several slides that there are other names for the input and output that we want to be able to use interchangeably. We have this collection of input values that is called our domain. Here's one of those key terms we need to know. And that collection of output values is our range. Input, output, domain, range. So let's start by identifying the domain in this function. The domain is my input values, so I have -2, 0, 2, and 4. It's a closed set. What's a set? It's just a collection. And in math, it's a collection of numbers. Let's list our domain. Another word for our range. Another word for range is our output. So our output values are 0, 2, 4, and 6. So the first thing we need to establish is this relationship of input, output, and domain and range. We should be able to recognize them, and if they are presented to us in a table, and in a moment we'll be creating and completing tables. I'm going to take this one step further on this slide, and not only is this input our domain, but we're going to find out in a moment that's also our x values. This output we just said is our range, and we're going to realize that those are our y values. X's and Y's, as you probably already know, are ordered pairs. And what do we do with ordered pairs? We graph them. So this is the beginnings of graphing functions. On to creating and completing a table. Now again, a function is a rule that states there's a relationship between the input and output, or these x and y values. It's all going to, at some point now, relate to this function, which is y is equal to mx plus b. But we'll get back to that in time. Now, every input can have only one output. That's what makes a relation a function. So, given the x values or the input values or the domain, -2, 1, 0, and 1, I would like you to go and complete this table of values. Please do that now. Now remember, we're going to be replacing, we did this when we evaluated expressions, we're going to replace x 4 different times. We're going to start with our -2 times 2, which is 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. Again, input a value. -2 times -1 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. Let's input 0 this time. -2 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 2 is 2. Input 1. -2 times 1 is -2. Anything plus its additive inverse is 0. We have now completed this table. We had been given our domain or our input. We then put each value into the function or rule. We simplified, and out came our output values or our range. So now we can complete this by saying our output is 6, 4, 2, and 0. Again, this has now created ordered pairs. I have -2, 6. I have -1 that goes with 4. When I input 0, I output 2, and when I input 1, I output 0. Again, here is a listing of those interchangeable expressions. My x values are my input, my domain, my independent variables. Independent because I can choose any value of x to place into that function. On the flip side, I've got my y values, my output, my range, and my dependent variable. The y depends on the value of x. Let's try one more. Again, a function establishes a rule. I keep repeating this so this way we start to really make the connection. Use this set of data for the domain to create a table. Please do that now. And again, I keep writing these key phrases to keep them in our minds. So please create the table. And you could write input or output, or you could put your X and your Y's here. We'll slowly walk away from input, output, and put X's and Y's in, and then set up your values and come up with your range values. And when you're done, we'll check. Now I'm going to stop the video here, even though I have more to talk about, because we'll do that during our live session. I will see you in class.